James Bella, the Boxing Source, here with another video. And this video here is to talk about Deontay Wilder. There is an article that is out on Boxing Scene that has David Haye talking about Deontay Wilder. And David Haye brings up the topic of Deontay Wilder and the possibility of him stepping aside for an undisputed heavyweight championship match that happened between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. And David Haye, who was a sparring partner for Deontay Wilder in the past, said to Sky Sports News that he doesn't think that Wilder is the type of guy to step aside. Quoted here through Boxing Scene, David Haye says, he believes he underperformed. He believes he's got more to give, and I like that. I like the fact that he wants to do it again. It shows me what I believe. I believe that he's got a big heart. I believe he's a proud man. He always wants to give the best of himself. He doesn't feel that he did it in his last fight, understandably. He probably watched it back and thought, what the hell was I doing? But he's got the opportunity to right the wrong. Interesting choice of words there. Haye says, I love fighters that are willing to jump straight back in there and eradicate any doubts about them. The same way Anthony Joshua could have had an easier fight, could have had a couple of easy fights before the Andy Ruiz Jr. rematch. No, he wanted that fight. He really desperately wanted it because he knew in his heart he underperformed, and he proved it. I get where both fighters' heads are at the time after their losses. I'm sure if Tyson Fury would have lost that fight against Deontay Wilder, he'd be wanting to come back and right the wrong. Well, I have a lot of thoughts about this from David Haye. First of all, it's kind of interesting that David Haye would say that, as he kind of knows Deontay Wilder fairly well. And there is one thing that I do agree with him on, is that Deontay Wilder has like a big heart. Okay, he's somebody that would not want to basically bow down or succumb in the ring there if he's in a lot of trouble. He'll try to get up if he's in trouble. You saw that in his fight against Tyson Fury on February 22nd. Now, with that being said, there's a few things that I disagree about with what David Haye said here. Okay. First of all, I feel that Deontay Wilder is not going to be able to do what is needed to defeat Tyson Fury. Now, I really didn't believe that when the fight was originally scheduled for July 18th. Now, with it being pushed back to a date in October, I still don't feel that Deontay Wilder would be able to do enough to defeat Tyson Fury. There's something about having a certain type of ability within you in the ring and a certain level of skills. Tyson Fury has a lot of skills in the boxing ring. We know the history of Tyson Fury. We know him being part of a boxing family. We know of him being trained under the tutelage of the late Emmanuel Stewart. We know that he's been able to use trainers at different points of his professional career and still keep the skills that he has. People know about his stories within the training facilities, whether it's in the Kronk Gym in the past or recently over in Vegas, where he's trained against the likes of Joseph Parker, Anthony Joshua, among other heavyweights. So he has been able to prepare himself from the point of the first fight on December 1st, 2018, up until February 22nd of 2020, to where he was able to dominate Deontay Wilder at that particular point. Deontay Wilder had not done what was needed to be done from December 1st, 2018 to February 22nd, 2020 in order to be able to defeat Tyson Fury. Now, if he wasn't able to do that from December 1st, 2018 to February 22nd, 2020, I do not see where he's going to be able to make the proper adjustments that are needed for him to defeat Tyson Fury at this particular point of his professional career. He has always had issues with guys that are tall, and he's always had some issues with guys that move their head. Tyson Fury does both. So it would have to be something to the point where he would have to make a lot of adjustments, either be a very sharp counterpuncher or be something where he would be able to not be the aggressor against Tyson Fury and have to watch what Tyson Fury does and dodge what Tyson Fury does. What we saw in that second fight was that, number one, Deontay Wilder does not like fighting backwards. And number two, he doesn't really have a good guard. He just puts his hands up in front of his face. That's not a good defensive stance in the boxing ring. And if he keeps on with that particular fight plan, he's not going to be able to defeat Tyson Fury, whether the fight happens in October, November, December, or whatever. That's number one. Now, number two, that I disagreed with from David Haye and what he said is the thing about the step aside portion, right? And this kind of like goes into another topic when it comes to Deontay Wilder. Stepping aside is something that he hasn't really done over his professional career. If y'all remember, back in 2014, when after he defeated Malik Scott to become the mandatory contender for the WBC championship, Boban Stavern had defeated Chris Arreola to become the WBC champion after Deontay Wilder defeated Malik Scott. Boban Stavern could have had that opportunity to fight Vladimir Klitschko for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Now, when that possibility was brought up, it was talked about by Deontay Wilder. And in that instance, and that particular article is still in the archives for Ring Magazine, Deontay Wilder basically said that it would take a lot of money for him to step aside for that particular fight to happen. He said that he would be asking for an amount of $10 million in order to step aside for Boban Stavern and Vladimir Klitschko to fight for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Now, we fast forward to today, where we could have Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Given that Deontay Wilder has supposedly earned $20 to $25 million in his rematch against Tyson Fury on February 22nd, what makes anyone think that he would just go ahead and step aside for that undisputed heavyweight championship fight to take place, even though it is the biggest fight in boxing that could be made today? He's not going to do it. And given that he wouldn't fight Anthony Joshua for the undisputed heavyweight championship, it wouldn't make much sense for him to allow Anthony Joshua to fight for that undisputed heavyweight title right now. And that's pretty much why I don't think that Deontay Wilder wants to step aside. Whether he would be a heavy underdog or a sizable underdog against Tyson Fury in their third fight against each other, it wouldn't matter to him as long as he is able to, number one, get that money, And number two, delay the possibility of the undisputed heavyweight championship fight to happen between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That's what I got in reference to this particular topic. You could subscribe to the Boxing Source here on YouTube or catch the Boxing Source radio show live 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on Blog Talk Radio, or catch the podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcast app is. On that note, folks, I am out. Peace.